Hello all you lovely internet people, my name is LashofSnow and I hope you're all well. So, if you've clicked on this video you know why you're here. I have attempted to read the first few chapters of the Kalevala, as the title says. I don't completely understand it, even though in this version there is a handful of pages kind of explaining the history behind it and how it was translated from old scripts into modern day text, and it means absolutely nothing to me. So I thought it would be kind of a cool video series to read the Kalevala on here. There's a little map. Read the Kalevala here, and hopefully you as a Finn, or if you study Finland's mythology or anything, then you can help me understand it. Now, my basic understanding is everything in the Kalevala is in poetic form, and as I said, this is the book. It's a pretty big epic. This is like the little explanatory bit. These are all the poems. There is quite a lot. Let's see how much there actually is. There is 50 poems. So, my understanding, as I was getting to, the Kalevala is Finland's version of like Norse mythology type of thing. It's where the world was birthed and the gods that made it and such like. On the front we have Vanamoinen. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Vanamoinen. And I don't know who else is on the front. I have a Wikipedia article open here on Vanamoinen. It says the defense of Sampo, showing Vanamoinen with a sword defeating the Sampo from Luhi. No idea. But I know, previously attempting to understand this, looking into it, that this is the character that Tolkien based Gandalf on. And if you didn't know, I think it was Elvish in the Lord of the Rings series was based on Finnish, because Tolkien was taken away by the language and everything about Finland. Let's just start off with this first one and see what you guys think, if we could add more in or if one is enough. Granted, that's what, if we stick to one poem a video, it's 50 videos. So you may all get very bored very quickly. Unless this is something that, I don't think I've seen anybody else on YouTube read the Kalevala, in English anyway. There could be a Finnish YouTuber, but anyways, stop talking and read the damn book. In the beginning, I have a good mind take into my head to start off singing before reciting, reeling off a tale of kin, and singing a tale of kind. The words unfreeze in my mouth, and the phrases are tumbling. Upon my tongue they scramble, along my teeth they scatter. Brother dear, little brother, fair one who grew up with me, start off now singing with me. Begin reciting with me. Since we have got together, since we have come from two ways, we seldom get together and meet each other on these poor borders, the luckless lands of the north. Let's strike hand to hand, fingers into finger gaps, that we may sing some good things, set some of the best things forth, for those darling ones to hear, for those with a mind to know amongst the youngsters, rising among the people growing. Those words we have got, tales we have kindled, from old Vanamoinen's belt, up from Ilmarinen's forge, from the tip of Farman's brand, from the path of Yukahainen's bow, from the north's furthest fields, from the heaths of Kalevala. So that is the first little section. I'm guessing that's just like an introductory type of thing, as to let us start regaling the tales of how we came to be, maybe. I like we meet each other on these poor borders, the luckless lands of the north. I'm guessing that is Finland, clearly. The bit that sticks out to me that is very, very similar to Norse mythology type of thing is from old Vanamoinen's belt, up from Ilmarinen's forge, from the tip of Farman's brand. From the path of Yukainen's bow from the north's furthest fields. That, to me, is kind of setting up these people that we're going to, encounter through here. Obviously, Vanamoinen is like the... I think I've asked Nina about this. She was mentioning that in folklore, in this type of thing, Finland was hatched from an egg. I don't know if that's right or if I'm completely wrong on that, but she wasn't too sure either. So what I'm thinking is, did Vanamoinen lay that egg, or was Vanamoinen hatched from that egg? See, this is where I'll need your help, because I'm completely lost on this. I am completely lost. So in my head, Vanamoinen is almost like Odin in Norse mythology. He was created by like the Earth Mother. So was it a case of Vanamoinen was hatched from this egg to create everything, or was Vanamoinen the layer of the egg? My father used to sing them as he cut an axe handle. My mother taught them turning her distaff, and I, a child on the floor, fidgeting before her knee, a milk-bearded scamp, a curd-mouthed toddler. The Sampo did not lack words, nor did Louhi's spells. Again, sorry to interrupt, but I'm sitting like this, so as I mention these characters, Vanamoinen, Sampo, Louhi, I will put pictures here. So, sorry. Sampo did not lack words, nor did Louhi spells. Sampo grew old with words, and Louhi was lost with spells, and with tales Vipunen died, and Lemminkainen with games. There are yet other words too, and mysteries learned. Snatched from the roadside, plucked from the heather, torn from brushwood, tugged from the saplings, rubbed from a grass head, ripped from a footpath as I went herding as a child into the pastures, on the honey-sweet hummocks, on the golden knolls, following black buttercup beside Bouncy the brindled. The cold told a tale to me, the rain suggested poems. Another tale the winds brought, the sea's billows drove, the birds added words, the treetop phrases. I wound them in a ball and arranged them in a coil, slipped the ball into my sled and the coil into my sledge. I took it home in the sledge towards the kiln, put it up in the shed loft in a little copper box. Long my tale's been in the cold, for ages has lain hidden. Shall I take the tales of the cold, scoop the songs out of the frost, bring my little box indoors, the casket to the seat end, under the famous roof beam, under the fair roof? Shall I open the word chest and unlock the box of tales, unwind at the top of the ball, untie the knot of the coil? I will sing quite a good tale, quite a fair one. I'll beat out after some rye bread, and after some barley beer. If beer is not brought and ale not offered, I'll sing from a leaner mouth. After water I will lilt. To cheer this evening of ours, to honour the famous day, or to amuse the morrow and to start the new morning. I have no idea what any of that is about. I think the problem I have with understanding is its structure. I think because it's in a poetic form. I know you can tell stories through poems, but for me, maybe I'm just a bit daft, but I need a somewhat cohesive story to follow, and it's quite hard to get grasp of what is actually happening with just short lines of text. Whoever we're talking about, is this, again, it says my father used to sing, I won them, I took it home. Who are they talking about here? Is it Vanamoinen, or is it something else? Because it did mention Lemminkainen Vipunen, Luehi, and Sampo. So I'm guessing it's not any of them. So it's coming from someone's point of view. I don't know who it is. For now, I will take it as a Vanamoinen's point of view. But please correct me below. If I'm getting any way off topic here and completely going down the wrong way and thinking the wrong thing, please tell me, because I do kind of want to understand this, because it would be nice to know. As everybody always tells me, if you want to understand Finland, read the Kalevala. So I am attempting to. But let us continue. I heard it recited thus. I knew how the tale was made. With us the nights come alone, the days dawn alone. So was Vanamoinen's born alone. The eternal bard appeared from the woman who bore him, from heir daughter his mother. Okay, heir daughter his mother. So is that kind of like the Earth Mother type of thing? Vanamoinen was. This to me kind of. I haven't heard of an egg yet, but that seems to be the thing I've been told. And from the woman who bore him, from the heir daughter his mother. She is the daughter of the heir, and I would imagine it's Vanamoinen's mother. So, was he born from the egg, or was Finland born from the egg and Vanamoinen was just there to oversee everything? There's maybe a little bit lost in the translation, because for me, I'm not a massive reader of poetry, but it seems that there's maybe the odd word missing here. Hopefully you understand it as a Finn and it doesn't just make gibberish. It doesn't sound gibberishy. But let's continue. There was a lass, an heir girl, a nice natured daughter. She long remained wholly, forever girlish in the heir's long yards, on its level grounds. Her times grew weary and her life felt strange from being always alone, living as a lass in the heir's long yards, in the empty wastes. So now she steps further down, launched herself upon the waves, on the clear high seas, upon the open expanse. There came a great gust of wind from the east, nasty weather, lashed the sea into foam, whipped it into waves. The wind lulled the maid, and the billow drove the lass about the blue main, and the froth-capped waves, and the wind blew her womb full, the sea makes her fat. She bore a hard womb, a difficult bellyful, several 100 years, 9 ages of man, but no birth was born, no creature was created. I have a feeling we're maybe going to get a hint as to where Vanamoinen came from. The lass rolled as the water mother. She swims east, swims west, swims northwest and south, swims all the skylines in the fiery birth pangs, in the hard belly woes. But no birth was born, no creature was created. She weeps and whimpers, she uttered a word, spoke thus: Woe, luckless me, for my days, poor child, for my way of life. Now I have come to something, for ever under the sky, by the wind to be lulled, by billows driven on these wide waters, upon these vast waves. Better 'twould have been to live as lass of the air, than just now to toss about as water mother. It is chilly for me to be here, woeful for me to shiver, in billows for me to dwell, in the water to wallow. O old man, chief god, upholder of the sky, come here when you are needed, come this way when you are called, free a wench from a tight spot, a woman from belly throes, come quickly, arrive promptly, most promptly where the need is. A little time passed, a moment sped by. Oh, I've just turned the page and I can see mentions of eggs. So we're getting somewhere. Came a scrup, straightforward bird, and it flapped about in search of a nesting place, working out somewhere to live. It flew east, flew west, flew northwest and south, but it finds no room, not even the worst spot where it might build its nest to take up residence. It glides, it hovers, it thinks, considers, shall I build my cabin on the wind, my dwelling on the billows? The wind will fell the cabin, the billow will bear off my dwelling. So then the water mother, Erlas, raised her knee out of the sea, her shoulder blade from the wave, for the scop a nesting place, sweet land to live on. Okay. So then the water mother is kind of the earth mother, so she exists as a living earth almost. As the bird is looking for a nesting place, and there was none in the seas, she put her knee out, so then it created like a little mountain for the bird to nest on. That scalp, pretty bird glide and hovers. It spied the water mother's knee on the blush mane. Thought it was a grass hummock, a clump of fresh sward. It flutters, it glides, and it lands on the kneecap. There it builds its nest, laid its golden eggs. 6 eggs were of gold, an iron egg the 7th. It began to hatch the egg to warm the kneecap. It hatched one day, it hatched 2, soon it hatched the 3rd as well. At that the water mother, the Erlas, feels that she is catching fire, that her skin is smouldering. She thought her knee was ablaze, all her sinews were melting, and she jerked her knee. She shook her limbs, the eggs rolled into the water, sink into the sea's billow. The eggs smashed to bits, broke to pieces. The eggs don't fall in the mud, the fragments in the water. The bits changed into good things, the pieces into fair things. The egg's lower half became Mother Earth below, and the egg's upper half became heaven above. Okay. The upper half that was the yolk became the sun for shining. The upper half that was white became the moon for gleaming. What in an egg was mottled became the stars in the sky, and what in an egg was blackish became the clouds of air. Okay. So this makes a little bit more sense now. It's very, very similar to the Norse, that Odin and the other 2 gods kind of had to kill this Earth Mother, and everything that was her became the world. And it's quite fucking dark. You know, the rivers would be her blood, and the sky would be the inside of her brain, and stuff like that. It's strange, but this is quite similar. That this bird laid an egg, onto which that egg, the Earth Mother, I'm just going to keep calling it the Earth Mother, the Water Mother, almost like an earthquake, the eggs fell, split, everything in the eggs then became the world. And I have another question actually. Became the world as in everything, or became just Finland? Answer that for me. The ages go on, the years beyond that, as the new sun shines, as the new moon gleams. Still the water mother swims, the water mother Erlast on those mild waters, on the misty waves, before her the slack water, and behind her the clear sky. Now in the 9th year, in the 10th summer, she raised her head from the sea, she lifts up her pole, she began her creation, forming her creatures on the clear high seas, upon the open expanse. Where she turned her hand around, there she arranged the headlands. Where her foot touched the bottom, she dug out the fish troughs. Where she bubbled, there she hollowed out the depths. She turned her side to the land, there she brought forth the smooth shores. She turned her feet to the land, there she formed the salmon haunts. With her head she reached the land, there she shaped the bays. Then she swam further from the land, paused upon the main, formed the crags in the water, grew the hidden reefs to be places for shipwreck, the dispatch of sailors' heads. Grim. Now the islands were arranged, and the crags formed in the sea. The sky's pillars set upright, the land and the mainlands called up patterns, cut upon the rocks, lines drawn on the cliffs, but Vanamoinen was not born. Aha! Nor fledged the eternal bard. Steady old Vanamoinen went round in his mother's womb for 30 summers and as many winters too. On those mild waters, on the misty waves, he thinks, considers how to be, which way to live in his dark hideout. It is narrow dwelling where he has never seen the moon, nor beheld the sun. He says with this word, he spoke with this speech, moon unloose and sun set free and great bare. Still guide a man out from strange doors, from the foreign gates, from these little nests and narrow dwellings. Bring the traveller to land, man's child into the open, to look at the moon in heaven, to admire the sun, observe the great bear, and study the stars. So is this now Vanamoinen being born? When the moon did not loose him, nor did the sun set him free, all his times felt strange, his life felt irksome. He shifted the stronghold, gate with his ring finger, slid the lock of bone with his left toe, came with his nails from the threshold, with his knees from the doorway. Then he tripped head first, seaward, hands first, he stumbled waveward. The man stays in the sea's care, the fellow in the billows. He lulled there 5 years, both 5 years and 6, 7, 8 years. He stood on the main at last, on a headland with no name, on a mainland with no trees. With his knees he tensed upward, with his arms he pulled himself round. He rose to look at the moon, to admire the sun, observe the Great Bear, and study the stars. That was Vanamoinen's birth, how the bold bard came to be, from the woman who bore him, from her daughter his mother. Okay, so there we have it clarified. Vanamoinen was born from the heir daughter, which was, what was she called? The water mother. Was Vanamoinen born from the sea, as everything seemed to have been born from the sea? That was quite interesting, although it did take 25 minutes to read that passage. But it was kind of nice to pose all these questions, like, where did Vanamoinen come from? Was he born from this? Did he birth everything? To then have everything explained in a somewhat convoluted manner that it is quite tricky to read, because it's so, it obviously flows perfectly well in Finnish, but translated to English it is very strange to read. But I'm glad I finished the first one. That is in the beginning. We learned of Vanamoinen's birth, how the earth came to be. So the earth was created from an egg laid by a bird on the water mother's knee. There we go. Next up is felling and sowing. If you know this book, you will know what comes next. I don't, because that is the first time I've read a full chapter of this book. I was pretty interested. It's very similar to the Norse mythology type of thing, as I was saying, that one being died to be this, and in Kalevala this one being created everything. It's almost a mix between Norse mythology and Christianity, because obviously Christianity you have God that created everything, but in Norse mythology you had like an earth mother that then died to create everything. So Kalevala seems to be a little bit of both of those. Yes, there's a water mother, not an earth mother, but at the same time she created everything. She didn't die to create everything. It was great. I'm honestly quite glad I've started that now, so I hope you liked it. If you're a Finn and you're watching this, please tell me below if you'd be happy enough to keep going with this series. Is it something of interest to you? As I said, there's 50 stories in this, and it goes through pretty much all of Finnish mythology. The Kalevala is a great Finnish epic which grew out of a rich oral tradition with prehistoric roots. During the first millennium of our era, speakers of the Uralic languages outside of Indo-European group, who'd settled in the Baltic region, developed an oral poetry that was to last into the 19th century. It played a central role in the process towards Finnish independence and inspired some of the greatest music by Sibelius. So there you go. It's absolutely kind of key to Finland's identity. So help me understand it. If I've got anything wrong, please correct me. If you want to see more, hit that little like button. Tell me below that you want to see more. Explain why I'm wrong. Tell me I want to learn. Share this video around. Get everybody watching. Get everyone's input on this. If you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button. And until next week, all you lovely people, me and my version of Kalevala and Vanamoinen will see you lovely people next week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you then. Rawr.